Yeah, he's got his opinion and he's entitled to it. I still have mine. I still have the same opinion as I had 2 weeks ago, straight after the incident happened. I've looked back at it, I've seen the videos, and I still stand by my opinion. And it is what it is, and we'll just have to go forward with it.
Imagine being 18 years old and hearing over and over that half the darts world can't stand you. That is the life Luke Littler is living right now. Two-time world champion, world number one, and MBE pinned on by Prince William himself. And yet there are players who would rather not shake his hand at all. 7 of them are tied to genuine bad blood with Littler. But here is what almost nobody tells you honestly. Most of those feuds are not what they look like. Some were settled quietly, some were never really feuds at all, and one of them is still burning today, with neither man willing to back down. Stay with me, because by the time we finish, you will know exactly which hatred was real, which one got buried, and which one is still tearing through the sport as we speak. Our story starts before Littler was famous at all, back on the junior circuit, because the first glimpse of his ruthless streak came against a Dutch teenager named Pim van Bijnen. The date was the 25th of November 2022, and the stage was the JDC World Championship semi-final at the Europa Point Sports Complex in Gibraltar. Littler had just turned 15, Van Bijnen was 16, and the Dutch youngster was openly battling dartitis, the involuntary freezing that can wreck a thrower's release. He had even spoken about it publicly. Van Bijnen took the opening leg cleanly. In the second leg, while going for a 180, his back foot drifted in front of the oche on one of his darts, and that's when Littler pounced, protesting to the officials without a moment of hesitation. The throw was penalised, 60 points vanished from Van Bijnen's score, and Littler closed out the semi-final 5 legs to 2 before lifting the JDC World Championship trophy days later. Here is the honest version of that night. People sometimes tell it as Littler complaining about a struggling opponent, and technically he did invoke the rule, fast and without flinching. The thing is, Van Bijnen had genuinely broken a basic playing rule, and he reportedly acknowledged the mistake himself before the deduction was even applied. Neither player attacked the other in any recorded interview, and no feud followed. This was not hatred. What it really shows is that even at 15 years old, Luke Littler would seize every legal advantage on offer, which makes this one a story about ruthlessness rather than rivalry. Our 6th name carries a genuine sting because Raymond van Barneveld was never just another opponent to Littler. He was the idol. Littler grew up worshipping the man, and there is a viral clip of a toddler, Littler pretending to be Barney himself. That history is exactly why it hurt when the cracks appeared in March of 2024. Speaking to the Dutch outlet sportnews.nl, Van Barneveld aired a real grievance, claiming that after Littler won the Belgian Darts Open, he had sent a congratulations message and received nothing back. His words, translated, were blunt, telling reporters that if he had been someone's inspiration for years, he expected a text message in return, adding that the kid was on his phone all day. The line that raced around the darts world was even sharper, a flat "fuck off." He also described a cold handshake, saying Littler removed one earphone and told him he only replies to text messages, not to WhatsApp. So why does Van Barneveld land all the way down at number 6? The answer is simple, because he walked the whole thing back. In a later YouTube interview, Van Barneveld insisted he never actually said "fucks off," and he blamed journalists for hunting the worst possible line. The relationship recovered too. Later that same year, Littler beat Van Barneveld at the World Series of Darts in the Netherlands, and their exchange afterwards was warm, with Littler heaping compliments on his childhood hero. This was a real flare-up, but a brief one that got extinguished, which makes it a misunderstanding between an idol and the boy who idolized him. Number 5 belongs to the 2-time world champion from Scotland, Peter Wright, and this one lives in words rather than war. Wright has aimed public jabs at Littler more than once. Ahead of the 2025 World Cup of Darts in Frankfurt, he told BBC Sport Scotland that the England pairing of Littler and Luke Humphries simply would not click. His exact phrasing painted the picture, describing Humphries as a grafter practicing his backside off while Littler played his video games and ate his sweets, with Wright openly hoping the two would never gel. He has also claimed Littler is not yet one of the best, insisting the teenager still has consistency to prove. There is even history on the board, since Wright has beaten Littler in a major final. Context changes how all of that should land. Peter Wright jabs absolutely everyone, because he is one of the sport's great characters, and pre-tournament needle is simply part of his act. Even Michael van Gerwen has said of Wright that every year at the Worlds he talks so much nonsense and that nobody on the tour takes him seriously. Littler, in other words, is just one target among dozens. This is not a personal feud. It is veteran mind games from a man who has been playing them for years, and that makes it entertaining theatre rather than anything close to hatred. Number 4 carries us to Blackpool, and to one of the most argued about endings of the 2025 season. The 27th of July, 2025 brought the World Match Play final. James Wade, a multiple major winner and one of the most respected names in the game, surged into a 5-0 lead over Littler before the whole thing came apart in his hands. Littler stormed back to win 18 legs to 13, and the numbers behind that comeback were staggering. He averaged 107.24 across the final, drilled 17 maximums in that match alone, and finished the tournament with 64 180s, a total that erased Adrian Lewis's old record. At 18 years, 6 months and 6 days old, Littler became the youngest match play champion in history, beating a record Wade himself had set back in 2007 by a full 6 years. Then came the moment everybody remembers. As Littler collected the Phil Taylor Trophy, James Wade appeared to walk straight off the stage, and he skipped his post-match media duties entirely, which looked to plenty of fans like a deliberate snub. The evidence, though, says this was not hatred. The PDC confirmed that Wade broke no rule, since walking off is a matter of etiquette rather than protocol. Wade's own statement afterwards, posted to Instagram, could not have been more gracious, offering a big congratulations to Luke on the win and thanking everyone who had followed the week. Littler backed that up, revealing that Wade told him at the Oki it had been a brilliant tournament and wished him well. No hostile words ever passed between these two. What you actually have here is a devastated, exhausted runner-up who could not bring himself to face the cameras after surrendering a 5-leg lead in the biggest match of his summer, which makes it discourtesy in a raw moment, nothing more. Now we reach the friction that genuinely carries an edge. And it starts with the man Littler shoved off the throne, Michael van Gerwen. The clearest flashpoint detonated in Belfast in February of 2025. Van Gerwen called Littler out in public for arriving 45 minutes late to the Premier League Media Day photo after oversleeping, and his verdict to Sky Sports was withering. He argued that people needed to stop treating Littler like a baby, pointing out that the kid was 18 now, not a child, and that 7 other players had been left waiting on him, which he plainly did not consider a decent way to behave. That dig was not the only one either. During the World Championship, Van Gerwen branded Littler the biggest disappointment of the tournament so far. Watch how Littler answered the lateness row, because his response tells you everything. He refused to fire back. Instead, he admitted that Van Gerwen was not wrong, owned the fact that he had been late, and accepted that at 18 he was responsible for his own actions, even joking that he had received a little telling off. Van Gerwen won that opening night 6 legs to 5, and when the Belfast crowd jeered the Dutchman, it was Littler who tried to quiet them and lifted Van Gerwen's arm in respect. A month before all of that, Littler had beaten him 7-3 in the World Championship final. This is competitive needle between the old king and the new one. It runs pointed, it runs public, and there is a real spark to it. Both men, though, keep showing each other respect, on stage and away from it, which makes this a rivalry rather than anything you could honestly call hate. Number 2 is the closest thing Luke Littler owns to a genuine lasting feud, and it belongs to the German known as Pikachu, Ricardo Pietreczko. The trouble ignited on the 10th of March 2024 at the Belgian darts, open in Wietse during the semi-final. Littler led 3 legs to 2 and sat on a 147 finish, and rather than take the orthodox route he reached for the showman's checkout, treble 19, double 20, bullseye, and missed it. Pietreczko read that attempt as pure disrespect. At the handshake, the German leaned in almost nose to nose and said something to Littler in German, although the match itself went Littler's way, 7 legs to 3. The real damage landed online. That same day, Pietreczko posted an Instagram story, and the translation carried by Sky Sports read that while he appreciated Littler's talent at such a young age, he hoped the teenager's arrogance would punish him. Littler's reply, posted that night, sounded like exactly what he was, a teenager, claiming he had no idea what he had done wrong and no idea what had been said to him. He followed it with a line that has since hardened into a personal motto, the warning that anyone who plays him now treats it as a cup final. The PDC's disciplinary committee took no action whatsoever against Pietreczko. Unlike the other names on this list, this one refused to fade, with both players continuing to poke at it on podcasts and in interviews long after the night itself. Out of everyone in this video, Pietreczko is the one case where the word feud genuinely fits, a real flashpoint that both men kept burning. That brings us to number 1, the rivalry that is live, raw, and still unresolved as we speak, Gian van Veen. These two stretch back years. Littler beat Van Veen in the 2023 PDC World Youth Final, and he beat him again in the 2026 World Championship Final, 7 legs to 1, with Van Veen visibly bleeding from his throwing hand that night. Van Veen has since climbed to become the youngest European champion of all time, and the Dutch number 1, which means these two stand as the twin faces of the sport's next generation. Then Manchester happened. Premier League Night 9, the 2nd of April 2026, ended with Van Veen beating Littler 6 legs to 5. In the deciding leg, Van Veen missed double 15 for the match, and Littler celebrated that miss openly with the crowd, which is when Van Veen spun around and confronted him. Littler proceeded to miss 3 darts of his own. Van Veen took out the leg, and the handshake that followed was, by every account, ice cold. Van Veen's verdict to Sky Sports cut straight to it, calling Littler a fantastic darts player but insisting that on that night he showed he was not a good loser, and that celebrating an opponent's miss genuinely annoyed him. Littler hit back hard. He posted crying, laughing emojis at Van Veen's statement, attached a screenshot of his own Wikipedia honours, and in interviews he labelled Van Veen a crybaby, claiming the Dutchman had set his darts down right in front of his face. For 3 full weeks, the pair did not exchange a single word, and the PDC reportedly kept them in separate practice rooms backstage. Here is the crucial, honest detail, the one that defines this entire video. Even at the white-hot peak of the row, Van Veen said that he loves Luke to bits, called him a fantastic guy and fantastic for the sport, and stated plainly that he held no hard feelings toward him. Littler, for his part, said he was sure the two of them would talk it out. This is the hottest rivalry in darts right now, yet both men, in their own words, have left the door standing wide open. 7 players who hate Luke Littler, that was the promise, and the truth turns out to be richer than the title suggests. Pim van Bijnen was never a feud, just a 15-year-old already playing to win. James Wade was not hatred, only a broken runner-up who could not face a camera. Raymond van Barneveld flared up and then took it all back. Peter Wright was simply doing what Peter Wright always does to everyone. Michael van Gerwen and Littler trade needle, sure, but they trade respect in the same breath. Only Ricardo Pietreczko and Gian van Veen come anywhere near the real thing, and even Van Veen, right in the middle of the storm, said he loves Luke to bits. Look at what the record actually shows on the other side of the ledger. A long list of players have praised Littler instead of resenting him. Nathan Aspinall said the tour is jealous of the kid, then made a point of saying he himself is not. Stephen Bunting, who grew up in the same corner of England, calls him respectful. Josh Rock is a practice partner and a genuine friend. Gerwen, Price has defended him in public. Luke Humphreys went as far as calling him, possibly, the greatest player who has ever lived. The Luke Littler story was never a tale of a sport that hates him. It is the story of a teenager so good and so fast that every dropped leg, every showboat checkout, and every cold handshake hardens into a headline. Friction is the toll you pay for being that good that young, and nobody in darts is paying it quite like Luke Littler.